We are hopefully recording. This is Dawson. Dawson the Dawson. Looking fantastic. He's like, hey, what do you guys have? Because Dawson is our superhero boy who has, are we a week out? Yeah, we are 1 week exactly out from getting bit by a rattlesnake in the face. He scared us a lot because we have pictures we can actually add into the program of how swollen he got. But more importantly than that, it is the secondary effects of the venom in the blood that then hit the kidneys, that then destroy the kidneys in the next 48 hours after getting bit, that caused the problem. So that's why it's super important to go ahead and come to a veterinarian. And we have Nick. Here's Nick, the owner, who knew, even though Dawson was not very swollen, was he? He wasn't super swollen when you brought him in.
At first you don't notice anything. And then after we got him home, he was still basically fine. But I guess we could say he had a little bit of swelling on the lip. So we thought, well, we better still get him to the vet because we knew he got bit by a rattlesnake. We seen the rattlesnake and we knew he got bit by it. So we said we better get to a vet. So by the time we got to the vet, we went to initially one that was nearby. They were trying to find him, couldn't find him. So we spent about a half an hour doing that. Then he was starting to swell up. And then we found Dr. Kathy over here in Kanab. And another half an hour later, we managed to come over here and she got to look at him, and he was swelling up pretty good on the mouth and the lips, but not so much his head. When I left that afternoon, his head was still fairly normal, but his lip and I guess underneath his jaw was starting to swell. But by morning, he was completely swollen in the head. I think I might show you some pictures of that. His eyes were closed and his head was like a balloon. So.
Yeah, it was profound. He says, will you let me even zoom in on it? It's actually this little right lip right in the corner is where one little fang mark was. And so we weren't totally sure. Well, maybe it was a little bite because it wasn't really that bad when he walked in the door. But it really, I had the conversation. What we really need to do is watch the kidneys. So we're going to hospitalize them. And then if it gets worse and worse, we'll actually put an IV catheter in, start with sub-Q fluids. And it was like pretty amazing to me because it was, I would say within 30 minutes of being in the clinic, he started to swell big. It was like, whoa, like right before our eyes. And so we made that decision to put the IV catheter in pretty quickly. And it was a good thing we did because, as you can see, Dawson has little Dawson legs. And so getting an IV in that little arm is also tricky, right? That's the other thing. We wanted to make sure that stays in. And then the other complicating factor with it is that the venom is actually a blood poison. And so it actually decreases your ability to clot. And so you don't want to lose your catheter because that's your portal in to get him fluids. And like Nick said, like literally by morning, his head was so big, he looked like a Shar-Pei. From underneath his head to the top of his head, his eyes were closed and
ears were swollen.
Ears were swollen up. It was really, really something. And it's, that's dramatic. But what the bigger scary thing is what's happening internally of the reason why he's swelling up, because it's a blood poison. It's literally exploding inside the blood vessels. So pretty serious stuff. Really good outcome. I'll just show you, we are on the Beamer. We're sitting on the Beamer having our interview because my Beamer increases microvascular circulation. So that was one of the first things Dawson did too. And throughout the time to help him be comfortable and help pass that poison through his body. So all right, we wanted to make that we love having good stories. So we'll say that the happy dad.
Oh, yes.
Happy dad that Dawson is still with us a week later. Tough boy. He's a tough boy too.
No, he made a miraculous comeback, and he's just been on a few of the Chinese herbs. And of course, after the sub-Q fluids went down, then he started his peeing and pooing normally. So.
He's like, oh, Dad, I know it was.
And he's actually been, progressing every day. Today is really his best day. He started picking up his toys and all, but he was doing quite well 2 days ago, so at least.
Yeah.
he's
So
pretty
first
normal.
48 hours was scary stuff. And he's like, "Oh, you guys," he says, and he was most angry about taking his catheter out in the end.
That's
He
right.
says that was hard getting that tape off my arm. But yeah, so that's his each day getting better. 1 week out. Yeah, we did the Unum-Vial, which is the herb that will stop bleeding, which is really the only thing that we have. Traditional medicine tries with steroids, but it's kind of like an indirect way of addressing it, and it can actually have some side effects that aren't pleasant too. So glad to have our herbs and have he's looking for more treats, he says, and I'm going to finish all the crumbs if I can.
That's right. And you will.
And he will. All right, good.